All right. I think we're live already. That's awesome. That was pretty quick. Anyways, good afternoon, whatever it may be in your area. Uh, it's afternoon here, my time. Maybe afternoon your time. I don't know. I don't know what's going on in your life, but let's discuss it. Let's figure out what's going on in your life. And I did forget to turn on my music, which I need to go ahead and do that right this second so that we can have some killer tunes playing. Killer tunes, I mean, elevator music. Good old fashioned elevator music. I feel like that's acceptable. Waiting on this to load up here. This day one stuff, man. I should have had this going on beforehand, but I did not. I don't know why. I even thought about it too. I was even like, man, I really need to get, the audio going, but for some reason did not. Just completely neglected it. Just wasn't thinking. Wasn't thinking on my end. That was terribleness, I know. In any case, let me get all my stuff situated and all my things where I need them to be. I am having, I'm not having issues. I'm just having like brain fart moments. I'm just not thinking real good, I guess. In any case, what has everybody else got going on today? It is super cold here. It's like, I think the high today is like 37. It's raining like crazy. I kept saying it was going to snow or something, but it never snowed. I think there is a snow system somewhere out west. Just a little bit west of us. Tennessee, Kentucky area. But man, it's cold outside today. Next week, a live stream will be a little bit harder. The girls will be out of school for Christmas break. So I'm not sure when I'm going to do my live stream next week. I like to do it when they're not here, simply because, they like to get involved and they like to jump in and whatnot. But then again, at the same time, I kind of want to do it like later in the day. That way more people is, out of work and stuff. Not like out of work, but like, off of work. It's, a lot easier when people ain't at work. When you do a live stream, you get a lot more interaction. So I would like to do that next week. But I don't know when I'm going to do it. Excuse me. I don't know when I'm going to go live next week. I still want to. I still like doing the lives, and I'd like to continue to do live streams while the girls are out of school for Christmas break. I just don't know when. Maybe, just maybe, fingers crossed, we can get them all wore out and do one during the week. 8 to 9 or something like that. That would be the most beneficial and the easiest thing, to get going on is evening while everybody's out of work, things like that. But do still plan on going live next week, and then the week after, and probably the week after that. I think that they go, I don't know when they go back to school, but I think like January 4th maybe. But we will see. We will see how these baby children do's. Good times will be had. Uh-oh. Am I having internet issues? I think I was. I don't. Maybe I'm not. It still says excellent connection. I don't know. I don't know. Everybody knows. Well, everybody who's worked in the hospital setting knows right now is the time that people get sent to the hospital, and it's terrible to say this, but we'll go ahead and talk about it. People are tired of them in their house. You've been there all year. It's time for you to go to the hospital. You've got an ailment that I'm tired of looking after you at. Home health nurses are, taking vacations or whatever it is, so they dump them off at the hospitals. Nursing homes have a hard time getting staff, so they dump them off at the hospital. So, especially during that Christmas to Thanksgiving to New Year month and 2 weeks or whatever, think about your nurses at the hospital. I remember being a nurse at the hospital, and you had like full census at all times, simply because people were getting dumped off at the hospitals. So, whenever you're not at work or whatever it is, just think about those folks that's still there, probably still short-staffed, because the hospital, you don't really get to, say, oh, we're short-staffed, we're going to send them elsewhere. There's really nowhere else to send them. The hospital's sort of that end-all, be-all. So just think about that when you're, not at work or whatever it may be. I still think about those times from when I was at the hospital and getting them terrible nursing home patients. One time, the patients aren't terrible. The getting an unload of patients from the nursing home is terrible. Let me correct myself. Anyways, one time, short story, we got it was between Thanksgiving and New Year's. I don't remember the exact date, but we got unloaded a bunch of patients from the nursing home, and this patient had a pressure sore. I think it was on their calf. It was on the lower extremity. I think it was their calf, fairly low, and my assumption is that the nursing home had ran out of supplies, which does happen. And there was a wet to dry dressing on this wound. I think it was a calf. And what they had done is they had the gauze. They packed the gauze, So let's just say this is your hole. So they packed the gauze in the hole. Packed it up, right? Once they had packed it up, they had like one layer of gauze over it. Like maybe not even one layer. It wasn't much. They had like the littlest bit of gauze over it. Then they had taken like a biohazard bag, like a urine bag, or it wasn't a it didn't have biohazard chemicals in it, but it was like one of those ones that has like the back slip, like a lab bag, and you put your information in and then you put your sample in the bag. They had taken that and wrapped it around the packing. Okay. So, calf is packed with gauze, and there's like one gauze over it, and then a bag that goes over the rest of the leg. And then, because I'm assuming again they didn't have supplies, which is far too common in nursing homes. They had taken urine. Well, we said they were urine. I'm not sure if they're urine or not. The labels that you use with samples. So it says like name, birthday, ordering physician, lab test or something. They're look like sort of like index cards, but they're a sticker. And they had taken that sticker, and where the bag met had stuck the sticker on each end of the bag and the patient's leg. And my charge nurse that night was like, "This is ridiculous. I am calling state." And she actually called state on that facility. And that charge nurse had never worked in a nursing home. And that charge nurse, I don't think she'd ever been a CNA. She'd graduated, school, and then went straight into the hospital setting. And I was like, bro, I really don't think that they had the supplies. Like, I really don't think this is the nursing staff. I was like, I don't think, that's them at all. She's like, if that's fine, I'm calling state anyway. So she called state. And hopefully what ended up happening is the nurses that did something like that were not in trouble, but the facility itself was cited for having lack of supplies. Because my biggest worry was, what's going to happen to those, whoever that was, whatever nurse that was that did that, what's going to happen to them? And of course, they probably never imagined that patient would end up in the hospital in our care, when they did that strange, weird leg bag thing. It was definitely something to see. You get innovative around this time in nursing because you just don't have the supplies and you just don't have the staff. It's terribleness. But it is what it is. Times are good, times are bad sometimes. At that particular nursing home, times were bad that day. Also, complete different side note. My computer keeps telling me that the stock market is crashing. So, there's that going on right now. If you're into that thing. Some people are, some people aren't. I don't want to do that. I don't want it to tell me anything. I'm fine with that. Whatever. Lost my train of thought because the computer kept telling me the stock market was crashing. There was another time when I was a charge nurse at the nursing home. Again, we had run out of supplies, and the night shift charge nurse so at my facility, if you were night shift, there was like one nurse. Like there was typically like one nurse, maybe two, depending on census, in the facility. It wasn't very many. And then so this one was the charge nurse for nights, and he was like, "Oh, I did a wet to dry on this individual. I need you to take a look at it this morning whenever you get to it." And I thought to myself, I was like, "Well, this nurse that had reported this was a Iraq War oh gracious, I can't think of the name. Navy corpsman. Was an Iraq War Navy corpsman. I have no doubt that this dude knows exactly what he's doing. He probably did this very thorough wet to dry dressing. So I'm not going to worry about it right now. I'm not going to do it first. And he told me when he left, he was like, "Look at this first." And he was like, "Be sure you look at this first." I was like, "Okay, whatever, And I took more faith in him than he really let on, because like I said, I knew his background. And so I was like, all right, whatever, he got this. I trust his judgment. He got this. But he did tell me look at it first. Like the end of the day rolls around and I'm doing my charting and I see it pop up on the because we were paper back then. I see it on the paper and it says wet to dry, and then you got to initial it. And so I was like, oh shoot, he did tell me about that. So let me go take a look at this, because I know he told me about that. And so I go in there and it is, and I kid you not, like paper towel, like the brown paper towel. Good afternoon, Queen. Now he didn't pack with the brown paper towel. He packed with that string. I can't think of the name of it, like the packing tape. He had packed with that, and then he had taken the brown paper towel and like wrapped it over the packing tape. And then packing tape, not UPS packing tape, the like Sterigols, the, I'm talking about, the little thin one. Anyways, and then let it set, and that joker was like wet. It was not even like, not at all wet to dry, because wet to dry is sort of damp, but it was like soaking through the paper. I was like, dang it. Anyways, I had to send her out because of infection. I was like, bro, why didn't you tell me? He's like, bro, I did tell you. I told you, look at this first. I was like, that is ridiculous. So I ended up, since I was charge nurse, I had wound care there with me because it was day shift. And I just called them. I was like, hey, you got to take a look at this. Something's going on with his leg. Wound care thankfully looked at it. They were like, yeah, if I get time, I'll look at it. Because we had on-site wound care like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of every week. Like 312s, I think is what they did. I don't know. That was ridiculous. I did not enjoy being at the nursing home. It was no fun. But those are my 2 holiday stories. My 2 Christmas, Thanksgiving. My very, very first day as charge nurse. I graduated school. I graduated school in July. Took my NCLEX on our anniversary, so September 17th, and then got hired on. So you go from September. Let's say I got hired on the 20th of September. So from the 20th of September till Thanksgiving Day was all the time I had on the floor. And they made me charge nurse that day, Thanksgiving Day. And it was just wide open. Everybody gonna take their holidays and whatnot. I had fights between patients. I had a patient fighting the nurses. I had a patient trying to steal medications. I had one, we call them fidget boards now. He had a fidget board and he was couldn't figure out why his doorknob wasn't open. Those things were pretty cool back in the day. They used to make them. Like the, if you were on the all-timer unit, you didn't make it. But if you were in like, the regular unit, you made them. It was good times. Anyways, Queen, what you got going on this afternoon? It was a terrible day. It was a horrible day. I got an order on that day. I got an order to do Haldol through the gown of a patient, through the clothes of a patient. The doctor happened to be there, and it was the patient that was trying to fight the nurses. And the doctor was there on site at the time, and he was like, you need to hit him with Haldol, and you need to do it now. And he was like, I don't care how you get it in him. And we had a special room. It was padded. Because I happened to be on a lockdown psych unit that day. And the doctor was like, you need to get him in that room and hit him with a mess load of Haldol right now. And stuck him right in the arm. Me and my preceptor, the woman that trained me, held him down and stuck him in his arm. Sitting outside with a blanket. It is, I think the high today here is like 37, and it's raining, and it's gonna rain all day long. It is cold out here today. Just freezing cold. Of course, it's not freezing because it's not, 32 or whatever it is. It's really close though. 34, 37, something like that. It is not warm. But, it is what it is. There we go. What is up, Non-John? Easy on the Kool-Aid. What is up, Jerry? Jerry, all your comments always come up as blocked. I don't know what you did. I haven't seen the sun in days. I don't think we've seen the sun in a week or so. The Kool-Aid today is like a glow-in-the-dark color. In the like if the light was on, it's definitely a toxic waste blue. I forget the name of the flavor. Easy on the Kool-Aid. The Kool-Aid is what makes the magic. Jerry, how are things your way? Probably warm, sunny. Only rains on Tuesdays. Not even every Tuesday. Oh me. I'm trying to get back. Music jamming in the background. That's what's up. Is it too loud? If it is, I can turn it down. Turning down the elevator music would be beneficial too. If it needs to be raining but warm, Jerry says. Must be a big system if it's raining down there. When we went down to Disney right before COVID, like December of 19, and it got to like 54, and we were used to, by then we were used to really cold temperatures, and they had like their big Carhartts on down there. The workers did. They were like, it's so cold. We were like, man, this is a nice temp. This is our highest of highs. We'll see. It was a good time though. Oh me. There we go. No. Now, Queen, when is your, it's not the tease, the Hesse. When is your Hesse coming up? Should be soon, shouldn't it? Florida's supposed to have a tornado warning in Orlando. That is crazy. Of course, they ain't really got no hills or nothing, so. March 23rd, so a little bit of time. They ain't really got no hills or nothing down there in Florida, to stop everything. But I've never heard of a tornado in Florida. It doesn't mean it's never happened. Of course, I've never actually lived in Florida. Yes, Queen, going RN or LPN. What is the end goal? I keep telling people I'm going for my FMP, but never going back. RN BSN, that is the goal. That's what's up. Queen, are you going to do the like the for-profit schools like the ECPIs or something like that, where you can get your BSN within like 2.5 years? Let me look that up. I think it's all it is, 2.5 years for the ECPI BSN. BSN program. Yeah, 2.5 years. Yeah. Ooh, I think I clicked on something. Want to do the LVN and then bridge. LPNs in your area hospitals are starting out at 29. It's not bad money, starting out at 29 an hour. It's definitely, you definitely save money, and I think that you sort of have a better understanding of school when you're working at the same time in that field. Um, I think that it makes it better whenever you save money and work at the same time and go to school. Good times. That's what I did for my nursing when I went for I was CNA. Went. Good time. But 29 an hour starting out as an LPN at the hospitals is not bad. School is harder than you thought it would be. You can't imagine passing RN school straight out. So here's what I heard. I, of course, have no knowledge no firsthand knowledge of this. I didn't do it this way. I have been told that the RN program is not easier, as far as like the education of it and everything like that. But I've been told that it's different because it's a slower pace. I had a friend that did the LPN, and then she was not able to bridge because that didn't exist for us at the time. But she went from LPN and then went to the ADM program. And she said that the LPN program was a lot different because it was a lot faster pace. Whereas the ADM program was a slower pace, same amount of information, still just as hard, it's just at a slower pace. Because you got 2 years to fit everything in, rather than 3 semesters. And then by getting your LVN, be able to pay for your ADN and have hospital for your BSN. That's what's up. The hospital that I worked for, now my current facility, the current job I have, doesn't do this. But the hospital that I worked for did tuition reimbursement. So what I did was really all I had to do was come up with my first semester of nursing school. And then once you passed it, you turned in your grades to HR, and then they wrote you a check for a reimbursement of that semester. So what I did was I paid for my first semester, and then I got that check at the end, and then I just used that money for my second semester, and then did the same for my third semester. And so it's sort of like getting a scholarship, but that's how I was able to do it. And it was the hospital that had that program. So, Queen, maybe you can get lucky and get on at a hospital with that program. Maybe get on at a hospital and realize, hey, you know what? I just want to stay right here. I thought I was going to stay med-surg forever. I legitimately thought I was going to be a med-surg nurse and retire from that. But that did not work. Microbiology and history. Ugh, that microbiology is the devil. I got to redo anatomy and physiology, and that's a much bigger burden on me than I ever thought that it would be. I really don't think I want to bridge over simply because of anatomy and physiology. Ooh, I don't want to do it. I was so bad in anatomy and physiology that I had to stay over and cut up the organs and label them so that I could get the 2 points extra credit or whatever it was, so I could pass with I think I needed an 80 with the 80. Thank you. I'm glad that you like the background music addition. It took me a little while to research it. Actually, I had to figure out what I could use because of the copyright strikes and stuff like that. doing A&P 1 and 2 in 2023. I did, and it didn't help myself any. I did a hybrid program 1 and 2 in one semester. I don't even know if they offer that anymore. But it was not fun, not easy. I did not enjoy it. Excuse me. I did not enjoy my time in A&P. I had taken A&P. What's hold on, let me reread that. That's why it's so hard. Yeah. I had taken A&P when I was about 19. I did 1 and 2 when I was about 19 years old, when I was in a 4-year university. And I had failed it then. But of course I was, 19, being an idiot and partied all the time. And then when I was 28 and went to nursing school, I did that hybrid class, that 1 and 2 in one semester, because I needed to graduate. I needed to get done quick, and did that. It was miserable. One class a semester for you. I did all the way up until I could not anymore, which my oldest was already born. But I went to night school, and so I would take classes from like 5 to 10 one day a week, I think, something like that. Or 7 to 10, something. Anyways, it was dark when you got there, and it was even darker when you left. Cold, rainy, always. I don't know, that's how I remember it. But I did night school all the way up until I got into the nursing program. It was always nighttime when I went to school. And I don't remember how many of them I did a semester. 2 or 3. Probably had like 12 credit hours a semester. And it was in that moment in time, because I didn't know this beforehand, that I figured out that a credit hour is the equivalent to how many hours per week you are in class. So if you have a 12 credit hour semester, you're in class 12 hours per week. So if you're working 40 hours a week and then you're in class for 12 hours a week, that's 52 hours that you're not at home and you're either in school or working per week. I don't know if that made sense, but my brain figured it out somehow. I know a girl she did a 19 credit hour semester. I was like, bro, that is entirely too much. I think full time is 12. 12 or 15. And I never became full-time until I went to nursing school. I think that was 15 or 16. Nursing school. Want A's in your classes. I did not care what my grade was. I just wanted to pass. I did not care. Someone on Facebook was crying about a 78 on a quiz after almost being done with their LPN program. I hate how people cry about things that don't really matter. Not gonna make A's on everything. True, but I will say if you got a 78 average and you need that, 89 or whatever to bring that up. Whew, I remember panicking on my nursing test. Ooh, my final, the last final that I needed the end of my third semester, I needed I had figured it out. It was like a 79 or 78.9 or something like that. I had to have that just to squeak by. And my school did not round up. So if you had to have an 80. And if you made a 79.95, they were not going to give you the rest of that to get up to an 80. Oh, and I saw my grade come in on that piece of paper. And it said, I completely forget the number or whatever it said, but it said higher than what I needed. Oh, I threw all my stuff and run around the room. Oh, I was excited about that. I was so happy. Dang, I was happy about that. It was her only C throughout the whole program. Well, I mean, if it's your only C, yeah, you can't just have a perfect. No one's going to have a perfect nursing school. I set the bar really high for myself, failing my very first nursing exam. Failed that juggle like a 77. Can't wait to get into nursing school. It's... I can't remember if I couldn't wait to get in or not. It's one of those things you just sort of blurred out. Praying for it. What's the highest you can get on a HESI? Praying for a 95 on the HESI. Because I scored a 67 on the T's. And I thought I did really well. So a 95 on the HESI, that'd be alright. Failed a lot of tests during med-surg. Yes, those tests. I mean, especially when they give you like questions like the sky is A, blue, B, cloudy, C, above you, or D, full of planes. You're like, I don't know which answer it is. Med-surg seems to be the worst about that. It seems to be the worst about those type of answers. They're terrible. Reading 79, math grammar 75. That's the lowest you can make. So I would have, well, I don't know what I'd have got on the HESI, because my grade was 1 grade and it was a 67, so I don't know. I have an 87 so far. Well, that's alright. We're coming to the end of first semester. It seemed like, at least for me, like the first semester was the hardest, because you're learning how to juggle all of these things: work, studying, school, getting a clinical, thing like that. And then it's like, when second semester hits, when you get into your second semester, it's like, okay, I sort of know how to do this. I sort of know, what I'm getting into. So when second semester kicked in, the first day of second semester, I was ready to go. I don't think my grade ever really changed very much. I probably stayed right at the 80 mark, which is what I had to have to pass. I might have got as high as like an 85, but I don't think I did. And I know at one point in time I was in like the 76 range. I was well into failing at one point in time, and it was in that first semester. And I remember Courtney was just furious. She was like, "I'm making all these sacrifices, and if you don't graduate," oh, she was mad. And when I was like 76, and then the next, grade point average, I'd pulled it up like a 78 or something. I was like, look, I'm making improvements. Look, I was so happy. I was like, it's coming up. Haven't even started clinical. Well, I went to school pre-COVID too, so I don't know. We started like 3 weeks in, maybe 3 weeks. They had already set aside time for clinicals when I started, but you had to do, I'm trying to think of what they called it. Sim labs. Oh yeah, she definitely pushed. But anyways, my train of thought. When we didn't start clinicals for the first first 3 weeks, and for the first 3 weeks, we still had clinical days. So we had sim labs, and in those sim labs, they had to see you like wash your hands, for 26 seconds. They had to see you like start an IV. They had to see you start a Foley. They had to see you all the tasks that you do in nursing. They had to see you do like a successful med pass with your 5 rights: right med, right time, right location, right route, right patient. Did I say that already? I don't remember. So we had to do the 5 rights. We had to do, all those things before we could do it. And we had to do that within the first 3 weeks. Once we hit the ground in clinical on our 4th week of school, we were pushing meds. We were moving. That, of course, there were 30 of us in class, and then each clinical group was like 5 or 6 people. And that was within the first 3 weeks. But since COVID started, I really don't know how they do it. I don't even know how they do it in our program anymore. I mean, it wasn't a joke. That's how it was, back in the day. I say back in the day. It wasn't even that long ago. It was like 10 years ago. But because my oldest was born in January, and I started in August. So it was 10 years ago. On-campus clinicals. That's probably what they called it. I thought they called it sim lab, but it might have been on-campus clinicals. Because we had like our own little... I think they have a picture of it. Let me pull it up on my... let me do this. Let me see if they have a picture of our... I don't really want to click on the link. Oh no. Let me see if they have images. So this is my nursing school here, and you can see they have these little beds, and they have the oxygen and everything. The blood pressure cuffs on the... I don't know why they did it that way, because they made us bring our own blood pressure cuffs. We wore green also, like we were like that color. That's a green. Now they're blue apparently. That's not me, by the way. And then so everything you needed was on the bed right there. And we had to do all of our clinical stuff right then, and figure that mess out for the first 3 weeks. So I don't know if that's what y'all had, Jerry, but that's what we got, or what's what we had. That stuff's pretty old now. Because it was, a couple years old when I was there. Let me see if we have a better picture of the actual lab. I think that's the actual lab right there. Let me see if I can just pull that picture up on its own. So here's our actual lab. This is my school here. Even though the article's about a woman getting a visa from Mexico, anyways, or citizenship, I should say. That's the local hospital beds that they did use. They look the exact same. The bedside table, there's 4 beds across, and you got these little cubbies. All of your oxygen and everything's there, and they had to see you wash your hands. There's a Pyxis right there. Right in that little area there. So that we had the whole setup, and we had to Had to learn it in 3 weeks before we could go on the floor. So disorganized it was. Now we only had, so there were 4 beds in that line, 3 or 4. I think it was 4. One instructor per bed, and they would like come out in the hall and get you, and so they would get you, and then so one at a time you would be sitting there, in the classroom, and then they would like walk over and they were like, "All right, Chris, your turn," and I'd walk in there and I'd have to do all my tasks that they had in front of me, and get checked off on them. Don't feel comfortable with IVs and Foleys. Foleys are something that I still don't feel comfortable with. I don't want to say don't feel comfortable with them. Foleys are something that I'm extra careful with. I go a little bit extra with the Foleys, only because of, there's a lot you can't see in there, especially on the women's. It's difficult on the women's. But the IVs, man, shoot. Once you get like your first successful IV, once you get your first successful one, and you get that joker in there and it's set and it's hip locked and you've pushed and pulled and it looks phenomenal. I mean, you're like, oh, I'm champ of this now. You feel pretty good. Some people don't get it and they don't like it, but that first IV, when you get the first successful IV on your first try and it's an awesome attempt, it feels good. I know that my community college traveled to different hospitals close to the counties around my hometown to do clinical. So we did 2. There were 3 hospitals that you could go to. You could go to the VA, which I went to the VA my first semester. And then you could go to Rowan, which the video that I did about the LPNs getting hired at the hospitals, Rowan is that hospital. And then you could go to Cabarrus, or at the time it was called Jeff Gordon, the race car driver Jeff Gordon. His name was on that hospital. And I did my clinicals at the VA and I did my clinicals at Jeff Gordon. Even though Jeff Gordon was like an hour from my house. Still went down there and did that. So there were 3 hospitals, and then there were at least 2 nursing homes. And you had to do, because we were in the LPN program, you had to do nursing home rotations. You had to. So I went to both nursing homes. Because, that's mainly where LPNs end up at. So we did nursing home rotations, and then we did the hospital rotations. And I signed up for the hospital rotations as much as possible, because it was so much fun. The hospital, you see so much more than you did in the nursing home. Nursing home was pretty much the same thing over and over again, whereas the hospital is just a revolving door of changing things, which I really liked. Back to the IV story, which I was, or IV thought process, I should say. I was, this happened like a month ago or so. We had a nurse. She since moved on. She had already retired once. And she was a director of a hospital, the nursing director of a hospital, and very good at IVs, and just a very good nurse in general, phenomenal nurse. Anyway, she could not get a stick, and I got it first try. And she was the one that we would call for anything whenever we needed help. Like, whenever we needed help, we always called her. We were like, hey, we need you for this. And she calls me. And she's like, Chris, I need you to help me. I cannot get this stick. I cannot do it. And I got it first try on that. And it went in the vein. I got a great flashback and everything. And I was trying so hard not to just show the excitement on my face that she missed it. And I was able to get it. And I was just like, oh, this is amazing. Once you get a stick like that, it's awesome. It's always good. But yeah, those IVs can definitely be hard. Plan on working long term. What did that say? Let me read it again. Plan to work at a long-term care, acute care hospital after you graduate. We have one. We do. Here locally, it's called Kindred. Um, that sounds like a pretty cool job, to be honest with you. But show her how it's done. She showed me how it's done on so many things, though. Like, the amount of knowledge that woman had was unbelievable. She was just so incredibly smart, so much smarter than myself. And she was. I want to be kind, but I still want to give you a good figure. She's in her 60s. Her kids were older than me. She had been a nurse since she was like 23 or something like that. So, she'd been a nurse for 40 plus years. Phenomenal nurse, great knowledge. One of the kinds of people that you want to learn from. And man, when I got that stick, I was like, move over, but ow! But she got every other stick that I've never gotten. Yeah, Kindred I've heard is pretty good. I've heard they're good, but then I've heard they're bad. But it's like anything else. You're gonna have people that the facility I work in, I've worked with people that quit and they're like, I'm never coming back. I hate this place. And then I've never had an issue, and I've been there for almost 8 years. So I don't see why some people like it and some people don't like it. It's, if it's not a good fit, it's not a good fit. But Kindred seems to have their stuff straight because they've been around for so long. These nursing homes that keep getting bought out by people, they don't seem to have their stuff straight. I don't know if y'all have noticed that. Here locally, we've had nursing homes. We got one that's probably 2 miles up the road, and since we've lived here, they've been bought like 3 times. So they evidently don't have their stuff straight. Excuse me. You gotta have your stuff straight. Can't keep messing up. But yeah, I've heard Kindred's pretty good. They're always hiring. I mean, anybody's always hiring. The VA here locally has a good acute long-term care facility. But you got to have a VA close to you. And then the VA is hard to get on also. But once you get on at the VA, you're fairly well set. Your benefits are phenomenal. Just really, really good benefits at the VA. But tis what it is. VA, yes, VA benefits would be amazing. I tried to get on the VA. I've since quit trying to get on the VA because I'm just happy where I'm at. But yeah, they got killer benefits. But anyways, it is now 2:30. Oh, let me read Queen's comment real quick. Try to find a job in your town. Delhi might be a good start until you get in. Anywhere's a good start. Wow, probation period at the VA is a whole year. That's a long time. My probation period where I'm at now is like 10 days maybe. It wasn't very long. It wasn't 10 days, but it wasn't very long. And yes, Queen, any job could always help. I gotta go. The kids are about to get out of school. I gotta pick them babies up. Them baby people, children, they probably like their dad to be there in the car rider line and stuff. So I will see y'all later. Like I said, next week I don't know what we're doing because of Christmas break, so I know that we will still plan on doing lives. I might have Courtney and the babies with me now that Courtney's teaching school. So she'll probably be out. So might have Courtney and the babies. I don't know. We'll see. We will see. I don't know. In any case, thank you guys so much for joining me this afternoon, and I will talk to y'all sometime before Christmas, I hope. And yes, Jerry, happy holidays, Merry Christmas to y'all. Talk to y'all later. Thank you so much.